So.
Okay, so the answer to your question is in your practice right now, which is how much pleasure can you feel just right now in your body? Yeah, just a tiny little shift. You just felt some pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have no idea, like, mostly I feel no pleasure because I'm always just in my masculine at work.
We have plenty of idea, yes.
Will not want to have sex if you have no pleasure in your body. It kind of, especially if you're in a long-term relationship. At the beginning, sure, everybody's hopped up on, right? We're all going for it. However, after a certain period, a couple years is usually about right, or when you make a commitment, i.e. having a child together, that kind of shifts and the brain starts to feel now, oh, we're in family mode, right? And that will kill, so it goes back to your families of origin, blah, 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 blah. If that's the case, one of the things we've been working on is she who must be touchable has pleasure. So if I would just, as an experiment, I would try this as an experiment if it's okay with you. Take it on or not. See how long it actually takes for him to get inspired to touch you.
When you fill yourself with pleasure. When you, like, just like you did just in that moment. It doesn't even have to be a whole, you could take on pleasure practices daily, and you could do things, but it doesn't even have to be such a big thing. But when you put your attention on filling yourself with pleasure from the inside out. And I think if there's a useful thing for women to get about also the positive intention underneath why they lose interest when we're not filled with pleasure, it's because that would be violation. To penetrate a woman who isn't in pleasure is actually violation. So whether they're thinking that or not, at just a deeper biological level, that's why that's not compelling. It's not like, oh, you need to become sexy, pleasure-filled, magnets, although that's also true. But you can just get like, oh, at this biological level, that's what's going on. So taking that on from the inside out, like you're just going to, whatever you're doing, the simplest activities, the making of the tea, the drinking of your tea, the way you do the next thing in your life, but just like, how much pleasure can you take in it?
It's pretty much irresistible. I've sent women out on this practice and some come back like 1 minute, 30 seconds, 3 minutes. If you really, or some, it takes a little longer. But if you're really like just enjoying your body and letting him see you enjoy your body, it will create polarity. Even if, because there's been some time, it might take a few days or a week or something for things to kind of kick in. It's physics. The problem is that we give up too soon. We give it 5 seconds and then go, see, he didn't respond. And it's just like all the other assholes who didn't respond. And it becomes this whole thing. So I would love to just give you the evocation challenge. How long, as an experiment, could you fill your body with pleasure and your heart with yearning and let him see it, even if it's for a few seconds, right? Because your nervous system's now probably more trained than his, yeah? So you're going to
I'm afraid of rejection.
What's that?
I'm afraid, actually consciously shut it down all the time because I'm so afraid of rejection.
Well, stop that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to have sex, you got to stop that. Yeah. And show him the pleasure with the fear of rejection.
Yeah, that to the tender part of that fear. I mean, it's just so beautiful in you right now. Like, the beautiful thing about this practice is that you get filled with pleasure, whether he has sex with you or not.
You could just be in bed next to him. Just put a pin in this, right? You could be in bed next to him. He could be watching SportsCenter. Right? And you just start to feel, maybe you take a long bath and you put oil all over your body or whatever feels good to you, and then you come out and you put on a negligee that's silk or feels good to you or something, definitely not sweatpants and an old t-shirt. You're putting something in there that feels really good to you, and then you just kind of stay in bed next to him, and you're like, okay, let me check I'm going to start the clock right now, and then you just start doing your thing and just like just like really enjoying your body. And he might turn around and go, what are you doing, baby? I'm like, I'm just enjoying myself. You can just be here with me. And then you just go back to it. What's that? Yeah. No, you are not closed.
Yeah.
You are,
Yeah.
There's no block right now.
Yeah.
And so if you can just keep massaging this open again and again and again, it will be more. It'll be more. You know, this is why we try to do these things in 6 or 7 month programs, because it's very easy for us to snap back.
Yeah.
Into these things.
Or to
need
take
multiple. You need multiple
one little thing that seems like his rejection. It might not even right, but then that hits the part in you, and then you bounce it back to him, and suddenly you're back in ping-ponging rejection back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
And so that's the sort of that's the choice for you to make, is to be willing to continue to feel this and open around it, even if it seems like he's rejecting you.
Masculine equivalent of that is when she's resisting me, or when she's even criticizing. Right? Can I stay in that place of conscious loving? Yes, so beautiful, so beautiful. Like just like, and play with that. And she might even get nasty or ignore you or whatever, and you just kind of stay in that realm. It might take 10 minutes, 30 minutes. Right? I'm sure some of you had that experience this weekend where like, this woman's not going to open to me no matter what I do. And you stayed with her. Yeah, somebody have that experience this weekend? Yeah. Just like what we talked about with Joe and Alex, right? She just kept loving, kept loving, kept loving. So training ourselves to hold the pose is spiritual practice. It is spiritual practice. Sometimes we think spiritual practice is, going off into our own, getting still, and there's truth to that. But there's no training ground for spiritual practice like relationship. It's like the Vietnam of fucking spiritual practice. So, this is what you guys are signed up for.
And when you do it for the sake of love, rather than in order to get a certain response, then it doesn't fall into that realm of abuse.
Yeah, good. Okay.